I think part of the root of our problem of our relationship with social media is the assumption that we are free and independent rational beings in the first place, which we're not and never have been.
It may well be that the House of Commons says this is the standard of taste and decency in the United Kingdom, bullying, restrictions on advertising, distasteful and illegal material. But of course, Iran will have their own standards. And you then wonder, would we be happy if we saw, say, the dating segment of Facebook have all the names and identities disclosed to the Iranian government of the Iranian citizens that used it?
There's no doubt about it that the way Facebook designed the screens was using the techniques of psychoanalysis to actually addict people to the screen.
The Manna journey is the catalyst for change in our world. It's a consistent source of truth for the next generation and current leaders. Our mission is to change the world by reframing our current governance, by using ancient wisdom to solve modern problems, and by shaping innovative new businesses to have a culture of pursuit of purpose.
Phillip, are you driving at this being effectively the thin end of the wedge, where effectively social media is just part of a whole process where we think we're bringing people together because they can communicate with each other, but we're actually fragmenting them. So instead of going to the local shop, you buy everything from Amazon. Instead of talking to your neighbour, you now contact them on Facebook.
It's bigger. They're no longer citizens, they're consumers. Which is the thing. Citizens were people who were part of the democratic system that would make decisions about how to live their lives, the values that they lived, how to vote. And that's what we had originally. And then stage by stage, a guy called Edward Bernays, the father of public relations, starts to take Freud's ideas of people have sexual desires, have desires for power, and therefore they need to be controlled. And therefore gradually there's been experiment after experiment to take away the ability, because we can't trust people. You're part of Westminster. Most civil servants believe that they can't trust people, the citizens, to actually make decisions. Therefore, they want to make the decisions. They want to control them, which is Freudian in its attitude. So this is how big this is.
So I think I recognise all of that. I think part of the root of our problem of our relationship with social media is the assumption that we are free and independent rational beings in the first place, which we're not and never have been. And so you think you're just looking at your phone and you're in charge, and you've been given an enormous array of choice and agency, power to do stuff. And indeed, you can do all sorts of interesting things from your phone in terms of, summoning goods here, sending people. You're this sort of godlike power over the slightly kind of frivolous aspects of one's life.
Yes.
But you can also communicate very meaningfully with people through it. But the assumption. The lie we're told is that you are in control, but we weren't in control before. And I think that yes, we now are particularly subject to new powers in the world, tech powers enabled by tech. And we need to think about who is behind those powers, what lies behind the algorithms, and the digital technology. But remember before, and you talk about capitalism. I mean, Marx's analysis, which you are echoing there, Philip, was developed in the context of an industrial age when people, having been subject to the lord of the manor in the agrarian economy, are suddenly subject to the mill owner, factory owner in the cities. And then the 20th century was supposed to be about liberation from the industrial model and the empowerment of individuals to see their own path, socially and economically. And sure enough, we've ended up subject again to a new power. So I don't think we should assume that the challenge now is going to be breaking down the tech system and we will be free, because a new power will develop. And I suppose I'm anxious about any effort to break, and we should get onto this, what is the right mechanism or what is the policy that we are proposing? Because a new power will arise. Power is always at work. We are never free, never completely free. So what will arise in its place?
Can I say this to you? You've made a point on my show on Talk. You've made a point multiple times that you can, if a business is told to simply obsess about profits, then this will be the result. Because, I mean, Facebook is not doing what Facebook is doing in order to control people or do bad things. It's doing it because it's a for-profit business, and it is focused on that. As an example, we talk about the scroll, the fact you can scroll through your phone. It puts you online for longer, but that's only so you can read more adverts. There's no nefarious intent behind it. But you think that profit itself is far too overvalued in a business.
There's no doubt about it that the way Facebook designed the screens was using the techniques of psychoanalysis to actually addict people to the screen. And everything is designed so you flick through these images. You're sitting in the underground. Half the people are just flicking through image after image on various social media, and they're automatons. They're not. They're being subliminally affected.
Well, we're dopamine addicts, aren't we?
Yes,
and it's a way of mainlining dopamine.
But you're right. We have to think deeply, and it's not just social media. It's the world of politics. It's the world of advertising. It's the world of consumerism. It's the whole system. The way companies work, as Andre is saying, we run for profit. Now, what is profit? It's meaningless. It's not anything which has any meaning. What we have to look at is purpose. Is what are we doing for each other? We talk about family, community, nation. What are we doing for the planet? Once you focus on that, you have meaning and purpose in your life because it's real. You're looking after your family, you're looking after the community, you're looking after the nation, and then suddenly, we're no longer zombies, automatons being pre-programmed.
Just in defence of profit, Philip, I mean, the value of profit is it enables a surplus which can then be reinvested in more of those good things. You're right, we need purpose. The pursuit of profit without purpose is immoral, but we need profit in order to create partly the incentive for the investment in the first place, because otherwise you're just talking about philanthropy, which runs out.
Agreed.
The value of profit is that it's in principle, if it works, it's a self-reinforcing supply of capital, which can then be put to good use and good purpose. So I don't think we should denigrate.
I'm not arguing with that. Let me just tell you, I'm not into philanthropy. I don't think it's the model. Completely agree with you. And I'm not into not-for-profit. But what I'm saying is, and we've got businesses that are following these models, you have to have a purpose. If you run for purpose, which is looking after people, looking after a need within society, if you do that, you will generate profit. But that profit must be used to look after people. I call it flow and let go. It's got to flow around the system so that everybody's needs are met. As you and I know, we've left behind so many cities, Grimsby, Liverpool, there's so many areas where we just haven't had the flow. They're deprived of blood, of money, of jobs for various reasons, and therefore the money doesn't flow around the system. So what we have to do is create a purpose. The business is about purpose. And then once we generate that profit, which we have to, we make sure that it flows to the old Heineken advert, the parts of the system other beers.
Other beers don't read.
It has to flow. And the trouble is, it doesn't flow. So I'm not anti-profit. We're completely aligned.
Just helping you clarify.
No, we're aligned.
Danny, if you like, the solution to any problem goes in concentric circles, doesn't it? The immediate solution might be a sibling, then the next solution might be family, wider family, and government and business play a role in that. Where do you see, as we settle down with social media, clearly there will be regulations, there will be improvements in the way that people look after their family and friends. Where do you see that responsibility lying?
Very good question. I mean, there needs to be levels of regulation. So I think it's appropriate that government insists on tech firms conforming to some appropriate norms. And
can I interrupt you to say, is that possible, given that they are international and we are?
I mean, I pause because we're at a fork in the road. We can either go down the assumption that it is possible in a sort of North Korean way or Chinese way, perhaps, to restrict the access of international firms to your own citizens, or you can go down the road of global government, pan-national government, and neither of those seem attractive to me.
No,
but and I'm no expert on the technology here in terms of what might be possible for a national government to do. But I do think there is value, and one of the advantages of being a powerful, rich nation as we are, is to work in partnership with other nations, obviously the US being the significant one here, to insist on high standards and appropriate regulation.
One of the problems, Danny, is this. It may well be that the House of Commons says this is the standard of taste and decency in the United Kingdom, bullying, restrictions on advertising, distasteful and illegal material. But of course, Iran will have their own standards. And you then wonder, would we be happy if we saw, say, the dating segment of Facebook have all the names and identities disclosed to the Iranian government of the Iranian citizens that used it? And so once you come up with that sort of problem, you realise that things might be different from country to country. Partly that would be legitimate, but partly in our eyes it would be illegitimate.